The Toyota Celica, a car that should hold a dear place in the hearts of all car lovers. It spawned the beloved Supra. It dominated WRC in the early 90s. It's a car modifying heaven, and it meant we had some of the most affordable and practical sports cars North America has ever seen. Production started in 1993 for the 1994 model year, lasting until 1999. Across its lifespan, Toyota sold just over 100,000 T200 Celicas in North America. While this was impressive, they sold almost 210,000 T180s and nearly 400,000 T160s. The T200 represents the last of the genuinely sporty Celicas and realistically the last song the model ever sang. By the time 1993 rolled around, the Celica had been in production for 23 years. Before we get started, allow me to introduce our Toyota Supra inspired t-shirts. Elevate your style with these premium tees that pay homage to the legendary Supra. Crafted for enthusiasts by enthusiasts, these shirts blend comfort and iconic design. Whether you're a die-hard Supra fan or simply appreciate automotive excellence, our t-shirts let you wear your passion. Join us in celebrating the Supra legacy and grab yours today via the link below. Upgrade your wardrobe and show the world your love for this iconic sports car. Toyota switched to using the Corona T chassis as the Celica's base after completely redesigning the vehicle for its 1985 fourth generation release. A chassis had been used for the first 3 generations, but now the only Toyota model to be built on the A chassis would be the now standalone Supra. The 5th generation T180 Celica came out in 1989, with production running through to model year 1993. That same year, Toyota began building the T200 6th generation Celica, ready for the 1994 model year. This generation would continue to be produced from this point through to model year 2000, when it was replaced by the 7th and final T230 Celica. When the T200 Celica first came out, it held a much closer aesthetic appearance to the Supra. Its 4 round headlights and long flowing hood gave it a sporty look and helped attract a younger market. Available as either a liftback or a standard coupe, it came in one of a few trims with many customization options. All models had either the 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic transmission. In North America, the ST trims came under the AT200 model code. These came with the 1.8-liter DOHC 7A FE inline-4 engine. While the engine was shared with an equivalent Corolla and only produced a measly 110 horsepower and 110 foot-pounds of torque, the 7A FE has stood the test of time. You'll still see many of these models on the road today with their original engines. The ST T200 Celicas were produced through to 1998 when they were discontinued, a year before the 6th generation models were all replaced by the 7th and final T230 Celicas. While Toyota never produced a high-performance version of the 7A FE used in the Celica, the aftermarket scene is rife with custom builds. Combining the block and crankshaft from the 7A FE with the head and pistons from the 4A GE with customized con rods produced something pretty impressive. Likewise, you could mix the 7A FE with the 4A GZE, creating a supercharged variant. What a noise. The GT trim of the T200 Celica was also available in North America. With the model code ST204, these came with a 2.2-liter DOHC FSFE inline-4, producing 135 horsepower at 5,400 RPM. It also churned out 145 foot-pounds of torque at 4,400 RPM. These ratings were primarily to meet Californian emission standards. This engine was introduced in the final days of the earlier 5th generation T180 Celica, and its use carried over into the T200. The T200 GT could eventually be purchased as a convertible. The coupe version of the car would be shipped to California as a partially assembled car. Here, the roof would be removed and an electrically operated top installed. By 1997, Toyota temporarily discontinued the notchback coupe version of the GT in North America. This didn't last long, and it was reinstated in 1998 following the discontinuation of all ST models in North America. However, the coupe version was completely removed from the lineup again in 1999. With the ST trims also unavailable, North American buyers had to settle for either a GT liftback or convertible for the final year of the T200's life on sale. The ST, SR, and GT trims were also obtainable in Europe, with the GT available as a liftback only in Hong Kong and Singapore. Meanwhile, the GT liftback was sold as the SX, SXR, and ZR in Australia, New Zealand, and Thailand. The 2 T200 Celica options initially sold on the JDM were the SS1 and the SS2. These were fitted with either the 3S FE or the 3rd generation 3S GE respectively. The lower lower spec SS1 kicked out 113 HP at first, although this was soon upgraded via better valve timing and ECU settings to 128 horsepower. In contrast, the SS2 produced 177 horsepower thanks to a higher compression ratio of 10.3 to 1. August 1995 also saw the SS3 added to the models available on the JDM. It was fitted with the 4th Gen 3SGE and was introduced to rival the Honda Integra Type R. Although the 4th generation 3SGE was still naturally aspirated, it produced a whopping 200 HP thanks to VVT-i, Toyota's equivalent of the variable valve timing VTEC produced by Honda, and breakthrough engine with advanced mechanism system, a mouthful of words conveniently forming the acronym BEAMS and meaning almost nothing whatsoever. BEAMS was, so far as we know, simply a marketing term. This meant the stock SS3 propelled itself to 60 miles an hour in an impressive 6.5 seconds. This virtually matched the Integra Type R, but while the BEAMS 3SGE produced more power, the Type R specially made 197 horsepower, producing 1.8 liter VTEC redlined at 8400 RPM and had a slightly higher compression ratio of 11.1 to 1. A 1997 upgrade to Toyota's 3SGE did give it a compression ratio boost to 11 to 1 and subsequent horsepower output of 197 HP. The Type R also weighed 330 pounds less. Although the SS3 was a great car, it came out 2 years after the Integra Type R and never reached the same levels of prestige. The Type R had already established its place, and despite boasting a higher torque engine, the 300-pound heavier SS3 wasn't quite enough to knock it off its perch. For example, you'll find imported models in the States for between $5,000 and $10,000. In contrast, a well-used Integra Type R fetches between $18,000 and $25,000, with mint condition collector's models approaching $100,000. With this in mind, an SS3 might be an excellent, affordable alternative that can certainly hold its own against the equivalent Integra Type R. A significant reason for the SS3's poor level of popularity may come down to Toyota's release of the Celica GT4. More powerful, faster, and with a famous direct rally heritage, this model was always going to be more desirable. The 3rd generation of the Celica GT4 came out in February 1994. It's arguably the most famous of the 6th generation Celicas, despite never being available new in the States or Canada. Models were liftback only and built and sent to Europe, Britain, Australia, and of course for the Japanese domestic market. With heavy influence from Toyota's WRC team, Toyota Team Europe, the GT4 is where the fun really begins. Featuring an uprated 3rd generation 2-liter 3S GTE engine with a compression ratio of 8.5 to 1, the JDM GT4 turned out about 250 HP thanks to its C20B turbocharger and a top-mounted water-to-air intercooler, scrapping the previously used intake system. It came with all the necessary plumbing to activate a turbo anti-lag system and several other water-based gadgets to improve performance, such as a spray bar for the intercooler's front heat exchanger and a water injection system for detonation protection. This, combined with the E154F 5-speed manual and all-wheel drive system, meant Toyota had something special in the T200 Celica GT4. The primary objective of the GT4 was to sell 2,500 homologation units, allowing Toyota Team Europe to race with the vehicle in the 1995 World Rally Championship as a Group A car. After hitting the sales target, the racing could begin. Although things started off impressively, it soon emerged that TTE was, well, cheating. The 1995 season began well, with Toyota and its ST205 Celica GT4 reaching the podium with at least one car in the first 6 of 8 rounds, including a win at the Tour de Corse in Corsica. Yet the 7th and penultimate event, Rally Catalunya in Spain, saw them get caught, probably thanks to a whistleblower on the team. The WRC had introduced turbo intake restrictor plates to stop modern rally cars from reaching the same insane performance capabilities as the brilliant but deadly Group B cars. However, Toyota engineered a spring-loaded device and bypass to make this plate. Tightening the air intake hose's Jubilee clip would make it move 5 millimeters out the way, allowing much more air into the engine and a higher horsepower output. When the hose and Jubilee clip were removed, this restrictor would move back into place, meaning only a thorough inspection, like the one ultimately carried out, would catch them in the act. After discovering the cheat, the FIA banned Toyota Team Europe from WRC for a year with little more than a slap on the wrist. Despite the scandal, the FIA president Max Mosley ever so slightly endearingly described it as the most sophisticated device I've ever seen in 30 years of motorsports. He also later heaped praise on it, even describing it as beautifully made. Toyota Team Europe would return to WRC with a Corolla for the 1998 championship, finishing second that year. They then won the title in 1999. The T200 is one of those rare examples of a car that can be most things to most people. The 1.8-liter STs have incredible reliability. Even today, with these vehicles approaching 30 years of age, you can pick one up for $1,000 and provided it's cared for, it should last many years. The GT4 is the most memorable version of the 6th generation Celica. Its incredible power output, turbo and all-wheel drive make it a unique road car in automotive history. Although it was never sold new in North America, it's now old enough to be imported or to be able to find models previously imported by other owners. Most will be right-hand drive and have a speedometer showing kilometers per hour without miles, making driving on American roads difficult without some mods. But modifications are where the Celica, particularly the GT4, shines. There's ample room for upgrades, especially in the forced induction system. Install uprated turbos, intercoolers, and exhaust to improve the airflow through the engine and tap into a world of potential. Sadly, the 6th generation T200 was the second last Celica generation and, in most people's thoughts, the last one that could be considered any good. The following 7th generation was never really a success. Sales figures started well but dropped off sharply between 2000 and 2003. A big part of this came from customers moving away from sporty coupes and instead opting to buy large, spacious SUVs, cars marketed as practical, fast, and safe. The steep drop in sales also coincided with the 1997 Asian financial crisis, the collapse of Japan's bubble economy, and the rising value of the Japanese yen. And so the T200 can be remembered as the last gasp of a dying giant, one last hoorah for Toyota in its attempt to build an affordable coupe available to the masses. Since then, the automotive world has moved on, and the spirit of the Celica lives on in its younger but bigger and badder brother, the Supra.